Hi everybody, it's a Slam Tilt here. Slam Tilters Prime, I suppose, because I'm working on Transformers. So what I thought I'd do, this is going to be a really interesting video for those who are interested to know how I make these pinball games and how I make them so quickly. It's not a full-on tutorial, I don't have time for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick idea of what the process is for making these games, as I'm working on Transformers Legendary Edition right now. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, we have got the Future Pinball editor open, and at the moment I've got all the inserts showing. And on the left side of the screen is what we call the script, which is all nicely color-coded, so I know exactly what to do. Now, writing all this stuff here looks like it's really complicated, but it really isn't. It's super easy. You'd be surprised how easy it is to write code for a pinball game. The way I look at it is code is like a language that you use to speak to a computer. So you just have to learn how to speak to the computer. Now, computers are stupid, so you have to break everything down to make it very simple for them to understand. And they are stupid. Computers are stupid. It's not like you're speaking to a human being. You're speaking to a machine. So that's what script is. It's learning a very simple language. In fact, that's why they call it BASIC. And you say, computer, switch on this light bulb. Computer, turn on this switch. Play this music. It's very simple instructions to a computer. That's all this is, this code here. It's very, very easy. And I would love to do a very lengthy tutorial on scripting. And I will do as soon as I get up to the milestone of 10,000 subscribers, which I hope to hit soon. Then I can start making all these very complicated videos. I mean, the actual the subject matter isn't complicated, but the process of editing them and putting them together is complicated. So the bigger the audience, the more incentive I have to put in that kind of work. Anyway, so this is Transformers. This was a game that was originally produced by ROM. So this is another Slam Tilt and ROM game. We've done many in the past. So this was a game that was built by Ron. He did a fantastic job with the ramps and the toys. That's all his work, and he even did a playfield redraw. I thought it was a playfield scan originally, but it's not. He actually redrew the whole thing. Very talented man, whoever he is. And so I just decided to sort of take over the project and put my little spin on it. So as I always do, I completely scrap the ROM. Whatever the ROM is on the Stern game, it's gone in. I just throw it in the bin because they've got all kinds of restrictions. Whenever you see a real pinball machine, I look at the script and I see all the restrictions, the licensing restrictions, the time restrictions, the budgeting restrictions. It's just full of restrictions. So I just throw all that away, and I just go in there and rewrite the entire thing. So my games are what real pinball machines would be if they didn't have any restrictions at all. If the designers and the coders had complete freedom. So that's basically what I do. So that's what Transformers is. It's the game with no restrictions. So I will explain, like I said, what goes into scripting later on in a much more detailed video. But I'll give you an idea of how simple it is. So here we have dual multi-ball, start dual multi-ball. There's a couple of pop-ups that I switch on. There's the spot bulb. These are the spotlights that I like the Optimus Prime toy. So when Optimus Prime talks in the game, I have a spotlight spotting pointing at him, so he's kind of like the focus of the table. I switch off all the other lights, so there's only a single spotlight on him when he's talking. And I've got various ways, so you don't just get one quote each time it starts. You get 6 variations of a start, so 6 variations of that same multi-ball starting. So you're not hearing the same introduction every single time. There's the get ready on the DMD. This plays, no, this is actually switching the angle, so the angle switches to multi-ball, and these are the movie clips that play. Again, you've got 2 options here for the movie clips, and then everything sets up. These are the targets that you have to hit, and it's very simple. I mean, it's so ridiculously simple. It's nothing to be worried about when you're writing script, but it is where all the creativity happens. When you are a coder, you're pretty much the film director. It's the same job. The sets are built, the actors are in place, everyone's wearing costumes, and then it's like over the director to make it all work. And that's what the coder is. The coder is the film director. The most important person on a pinball project is the coder, because they make it work. And if you've got a shit coder, it's a shit game, no matter how beautiful it looks and how wonderful the layout is. A coder can make or break a game. Okay, so what's also very important in a pinball game is the audio design. Now in here, we have got all the music and sound effects. Now I have a music folder which incorporates some sound effects, which I call FX, but mostly the music and callouts. Callouts are VO, music is music, obviously. Now you can see there's an enormous amount of music that you need when you're making a pinball game, an enormous amount, and I'll just play a selection here. So there's here music for the Allspark. So that's when you hit the Allspark kicker, which is here, or the scoop. Battle of Cybertron, when the Battle of Cybertron kicks off, very exciting. You've got music for Bumblebee, you've even got music for the buy-in. At the end of the game, you got an option to buy an extra ball. You got music for choose. You've got music cue. That's normally when it shows you the end of ball bonus. So much end of game, high score. It's very important when you're coding a high score sequence that you've got to make the player feel really good. So you need a light show, you need an epic piece of music, you need something on the LCD. And I don't see this in modern games. They don't really make a big show about it. It has to be a big show when you get a high score. There's music for Ironhide, there's Linkin Park, and then we've got the new Maximum Overdrive music. Which is Nickelback, if you're wondering. Which was actually featured in the film, so that's why I used it. So there's a lot of music. That's actually quite a small amount of music for a modern pinball game. You need a lot more than that. Typically you need about 30 full tracks, and then you need a whole bunch of music cues, music for the high score, music for the end of ball, music for the bonus. It just goes on and on and on. You need tons and tons of music. So when you're picking a theme, you have to pick a theme that has an entire library of music to pick from. So movie themes like Star Wars, like Indiana Jones, like Harry Potter, an enormous amount of music to pick through. And so you've got all the music in the world to create a pinball game. And it's the same with Transformers. I mean, we've got 6 films, is it now? An enormous amount of music. Now, I've just picked out music from the first film. Now I call it epic because that comes in. I mean, I use music to influence how I make the player feel as well. When there's a moment where I want them to feel great, I will play epic. And it does, it makes them feel great. So that's how important music is. It's just as important as it is in a TV show or in a movie. It's used to create emotions in the player. And all the quotes here, like, that's this one.
We got the gang back together.
Get the gang back together. I think that's, what's his name, isn't it, from Roseanne?
No, it is a bad idea.
That's Optimus Prime. That's actually Optimus Prime from the latest movie. He said that in Rise of the Beasts. So I've used, all these quotes are from all of the movies, plus some are from the 80s cartoon and some are from Transformers Prime. So that's what I mean, that this game is a 40th anniversary celebration of the Transformers. So it's not just based on the movies, it's based upon the whole franchise over 40 years. So there's a lot of content in here, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of quotes, and it's all from the original actors, which is Peter Cullen playing Optimus Prime and Frank Welker playing Megatron. Now, Frank Welker didn't feature in the movies. For some reason they chose Hugo Weaving instead, which was a terrible decision. And so sometimes, when I think I can, and I can add my own voiceovers to the game. So I had a go at doing Optimus Prime and Megatron, and this is what I came up with. So this is my voice that I recorded.
We are here to protect the humans. We must protect the humans at all cost, and we must play more pinball. This is where Optimus Prime has been hiding all these years. Kill the Autobots!
So that's me doing my own custom callouts for the game. Sometimes in a pinball game you do need to have things that the characters will specifically say, like shoot the ramp or extra ball is lit. Now, so far I haven't needed to add my own custom callouts, but if I wanted to do them, I have I do think I have an ability to recreate the voice of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Now, I have to run it through a few filters, but I think I can get pretty close. Now, when you listen to the the call-outs in Stern's game, you know, they're way off the mark, way off the mark. You get the original Optimus Prime, but then you get this sound alike who is way off the mark. And that really takes the player out of the experience. You've got to get voice actors who can do the voice pretty close, and then you run them through an audio configuration software, whatever you want to call it, and that gets them even closer. So you don't have to get the impression dead on. The audio software will get them closer to the original voice. Now, nobody sounds like Peter Cullen, but I think I can get pretty close. Okay, so another little sneak behind the scenes is modern pinball games have an LCD screen. Okay, we don't have to do DMDs anymore, so you have to create individual animations for the LCD. Now, that's really tough to do, especially when you're making pinballs all on your own. You've got to wear many, many hats. So what I do is I have some sort of background working with graphic design. So what I do is I produce what I call very basic animations. They get the job done. The focus of my games is the action on the playfield. So I don't want the player sort of spending too much time looking at the LCD. So when I make these animations, I make them very quick. So the information is given to the player in just milliseconds. And that's what you're dealing with here. The player can only look up at the screens for a millisecond or, you know, maybe 1 second at max. So I have these animations that I've created, which, you know, when you animate them, they look pretty cool, I suppose. These are the old ones. I had them in the DMD ratio in the very early days of making this game. There's a credit card, and there's one there for Megatron. So it's just very, very simple. There's the double scoring one. Some animate, some don't. This is the opening screen. Get ready in the old Transformers font. And then this is the animation that I created on the original Ultimate version of the game, which didn't work. I didn't like it. So I scrapped that. So anything that you see in that DMD ratio is from the very old game. And then what I had to do is I had to replace them with all modern stuff. So I had to change the ratio to the LCD size. So that's what all this stuff is. So there isn't really that much. This one just goes back and forth. It's 2 frames. Maximum overdrive. And then you've got the tilt warning as well. Just 2 frames. That's all you need. It's enough to get the information across. Now, when you see games like Jersey Jack and they have all that stuff on the screen, which nobody's looking at, watch a video where somebody's playing a Jersey Jack game and watch their eyes. Where are they looking? They're looking at the playfield. And yet there's this enormous amount of stuff going on the screen and the player is not looking at it. What a waste of money and time producing all that crap. You don't need to do that. And the same with Stern. Again, Stern put too much crap on that LCD and they're playing movie clips like constantly. What a waste of time. You know, only play movie clips sporadically. Otherwise, they just lose their impact. Not as dramatic if you keep playing movie clips all the bloody time. So yeah, in between all these LCD animations, there are movie clips, and there's quite a few in this game. But I want the player to be playing pinball. I want it to be focused on what's happening under the glass. That's what I do with all of my games. Okay, it's, you know, you're not watching a movie here. You're playing pinball. That's very, very important. So that's behind the scenes of how I do the LCDs. And then there's, you know, the little things like the spinners. I originally had that one as a spinner, but that didn't work because it's the same thing. So I changed it so it's the old cartoon style animations there. The logos, one's red, one's purple, and that's the color coordination of the game is that one half is purple, which is the Decepticons, and the other half is red. So this is the side artwork that I use for the side walls. So I've got Decepticon there, and then the little logo, and it says Autobots there, and at the top here it says Megatron and Optimus. And then you know, you get all your bits and pieces from the internet. So you just Google Autobots or Decepticons, and you find all these things. And you just, if you're lucky, you'll find PNGs where they're already extracted. But if you're unlucky, you have to do it yourself. But there's loads and loads and loads of stuff on the internet you can find. You can find all the artwork that you'll ever need for any pinball project you want to work on. It doesn't matter what it is. You'll find an enormous amount of artwork already done, and you just have to create your own. So this is an actual redraw that Rom did. I thought this was the scan of the actual playfield, but it's not. He's actually redrawn the whole thing. And it's almost identical. It's such a clever job. And I was going to replace this, but I thought he's done such a great job with that, I'm going to leave it as it is. I'd say it's actually slightly better than the original Stern artwork. So that's the Translite, which is not a bad effort, but it's confusing. Very confusing mess. So I thought, well, I'll just tidy it up a little bit, and I created this. So I just added the cartoon font at the top there, and I split the two here. That's Cybertron, that's Earth. There's the cube thing in the middle, the Allspark. And then the problem with the Decepticons is they're just mostly metal, so it's hard to make them stand out. So I had to put a little glow around them. And there's Sentinel Prime, and then the two here. We've obviously got the Autobot Scout, which is Bumblebee, and a green Mud Flaps or Skids, whichever one he is. And then the sort of generic speaker thing at the bottom there with the LCD area. And again, back in the olden days, I did have this animate. I had these things popping up, and I had the old thing animating, which took too much work, and nobody's looking up at the back glass, so I got rid of the old animation on the back glass. So that's more of a behind the scenes of how you produce the artwork. I mean, you've got to do everything. You've got to do everything, even the apron, wherever the apron is. So I redid the apron. And if you zoom in, you can see the rules are relevant to the new updated game. Again, I've used the cartoon logos, and I've used the cartoon font there, and I've even added a human savior to sort of entice people to pay more money. £2 for 3 games, which is pretty good value. But today, obviously, I think that would be £2 for a play, because pinball games are very, very complicated now, and all my games are 5-ball games now. The idea of playing 3-ball games just doesn't work. There's so much to do in a pinball game now. I think the minimum should be 5 balls. And that new maximum overdrive feature that I've created, and this plays on the back wall video screen as well. This adds a whole new dimension. You can sacrifice the ball and have 60 seconds of intense gameplay. To make it as authentic as possible, I will look at images of the original machine. So this is the original machine, produced by Stern. So we try and get as close as possible, but in a lot of cases we can actually make massive improvements to the way this thing shoots, the lighting, obviously the sound effects, and there's obviously now a video wall back here which shows the static image here, but I can have the option there to play clips and massive animations, and also the whole thing's being converted with LEDs as well, so the lights can all change color, and there's an LCD screen. So it's a massive upgrade. It really is a remake of the Stern game. Okay, well, thanks for watching. That's a little bit of a behind the scenes of what I'm up to with Transformers. There's so much more to come. I'm probably about halfway through this update, but it is unbelievable. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Oh, sorry. Toodaloo.